There are a few pitchers so far this year that have not lived up to their expectations so far in the first half of this season, but we have a second half of the season to go, and some of those pitchers may bounce back. I have 6 of them today, starting off with Roki Sasaki. All of these guys have varying levels of likelihood of bouncing back to their preseason expectations. Sasaki, probably the lowest out of these 6, and we're going to work our way up to somebody who I think is almost guaranteed to bounce back. And there's no better place to start off than Roki Sasaki, who obviously has some pretty high expectations on him, coming over from Japan, #1 prospect, but it's not panned out so far this year. 4.76 ERA in 62.1 innings, just not great. Also, the FIP is pretty high, 4.69 FIP. Most of these picks are not going to be obvious regression candidates. I think that would make for a pretty boring video, so I'm not going to talk about pitchers that have a high ERA and are just getting unlucky, because those are obviously players that are going to get a better ERA. But Sasaki, 0.6 F4 so far this year and a 4.69 FIP, those are not good numbers. Now, Sasaki definitely has been better than his disastrous rookie season in 2025. The strikeouts are up, the walks are down, that's great, but he's still getting beat by the long ball quite a bit. 1.59 home runs per 9 innings. He's given up 11 home runs so far this year. That's a lot of home runs for a pitcher in 62 innings. But the walk rate is under 10%, which is nice to see for Roki Sasaki, and the strikeout rate at 23.7%, also nice to see, but he's still allowing runs quite a bit, 4.76 ERA and a 4.69 FIP because all of those home runs, though I think things are starting to look up for Roki. If we go to his game log, we can see at the start of the year, things were not going great. A lot of walks, 5 walks in this game, 3 walks in this game, 2 walks, 2 walks, 2 walks. He didn't have a game without a walk until May 17th, which is pretty late in the year for a game without a walk. Also, even when he was walking a lot of guys, the strikeouts really weren't there. It's one thing if you're walking a lot of guys and you can get out of those walk jams with strikeouts, but Roki wasn't quite doing that. He was also giving up home runs to go along with it, so not a great combination to start the year, but recently he's had a couple outings that kind of give some promise, like this 10 strikeout, 2 walk, no home run performance in 7 innings against the Angels, and also on May 17th when he had 8 strikeouts and no walks, also against the Angels. It might just be the Angels' offense helping him, but it is still promising for Roki. And a lot of the problems that Roki has have to do with his fastball. His other pitches are all pretty good. Baseball Savant now actually lists the splitter and forkball as 2 separate pitches. Previously, they were all molded into one splitter, but they are 2 technically different pitches. The forkball has much less spin rate, 600 RPM, compared to the splitter, which has 950. But as you can see, the splitter, slider, and forkball are all pretty good. They all have whiff rates above 30%, and their xwOBAs are all below 265. 263 is the highest with the splitter. So hitters are not doing damage off of these pitches at all. All the damage pretty much is coming off of the fastball. 7 home runs out of the 11 come off the fastball. The whiff rate's at 18.2%, which is to be expected. The fastballs should be lower than your breaking pitches, but 18.2% still pretty low, and it has a slugging percentage of 571, expected slugging of 558. That means like hitters are really good against it. And Roki's fastball was supposed to be a really good pitch. Obviously, when he was in Japan, that was the pitch that was getting him a lot of notice. He was throwing it really hard, but that velocity has just not been there for Roki. In his rookie season, it was 96 miles per hour. This year so far, it's sitting at 97.4 miles per hour on average. So hitters are able to make contact with it more often, and he's also having a lot of trouble commanding the fastball. He's not throwing the fastball in the zone as much as you would want, and that's leading to a lot of walks, a lot of behind in the count situations, which are never good for a pitcher. But if we look at the way his fastball is trending, it's trending in definitely the right direction. This right here is the percent of the fastballs that are in the strike zone that he throws, and this is the average velocity on them. You can see the past few starts, the velocity has been up. 98.6, 98.1, 98.8 average velocity on the fastball on June 12th, which that was the game where he gave up a bunch of runs to the White Sox, but having a fastball sit around 99 is pretty impressive. Even though he did give up 7 runs, it's still a promising sign. And also, in those 2 games where he was pretty good, June 5th and May 17th, he was throwing the fastball in the zone a ton. 81.1% zone rate on that game and 69.4% on this game. Those are the 2 highest percentages of the entire year, and no surprise, those were the 2 best games the entire year. And if you look at the zone rate on his fastball throughout the season, it is slowly creeping up. It was in the 40s quite a bit early on this year, but recently it's been in the 50s, 60s, and even in the 80s in that one game. So given the fact that he's trending upward, I am hopeful that he's going to be better in the second half, and I give him a 50% chance to bounce back, because this also could just be a little hot streak here, and it may go down the drain like we saw at the start of the year, We just don't have enough of a sample size to tell, but things are trending in the right direction. Next up is Nick Lodolo, part of the Reds' struggling pitching staff this year. 42 innings, 6.12 ERA. Anytime the ERA starts with a 6, not a good thing, and it's even worse when your FIP starts with a 5, 5.79, the xFIP at 5.06. So, none of the numbers are saying Lodolo's going to be good. No positive regression is really expected. He's just been really bad. 16.3% strikeout rate and 8.7% walk rate. That's a very low strikeout rate for Nick Lodolo. A below average ground ball rate as well. Just nothing going right. 0 WAR for him in 42 innings. That's not the Nick Lodolo I know and love. If we look at Nick Lodolo last year, 24.3% strikeout rate. The strikeout rate has just dipped suddenly to 16.3% out of nowhere. That's by far the worst of his career, and the walk rate is the second worst of his career, only behind 2022 when he pitched 103 innings his rookie year, and that's not a good thing to have your lowest career strikeout rate and almost your highest career walk rate. Not a good combination, and he also has his lowest ground ball rate as well. But I really feel like there's no reason to be worried about Nick Lodolo last year when he was pretty good, when he was getting a whiff rate of 27.5%, a chase rate of 32.7%. This was his pitch arsenal. He has this really weird curveball that he throws from that really low arm angle. It looks more like a sweeper. Technically, he throws it like a curveball though, which plays really well off of these 3 different pitches that get a ton of arm side movement, the 4-seam, sinker, and changeup. This year, the arsenal's pretty much exactly the same. The velocities are all pretty much the same. You would think that the results would be the same. He's still getting a lot of chase. The whiff has gone away though, and the walk rate has gone way up, and the strikeout rate has gotten worse as well, obviously. I think part of the reason is the fact that he's not putting his pitches in the right spots to succeed. If you go back to 2025, you can see he was throwing the curveball consistently for strikes. That's his most thrown pitch, and this year it's also his most thrown pitch, but he's having a little bit harder time to put it in the zone. He's throwing it more on the edge and definitely out of the zone, probably more than he wants to. The fastball also he's throwing up out of the zone as well. And when you look at last year, he was definitely more in the top third of the strike zone rather than out of the strike zone when he was throwing his 4-seamer. He's been getting behind in the count quite a bit, 60.2% first pitch strike rate, which is by far the lowest of his career, and that I think is allowing the hitter to settle in, get in better counts, and be more selective of the pitches that they swing at, which is resulting in less swings and misses, less chase as well. Command can come and go in small samples, and I think this is a sample where Lodolo is struggling with command. I have a 60% chance that Lodolo bounces back in the second half. Next up is Bubba Chandler. Chandler's not started off this year well. 68 innings pitched, 4.76 ERA, a 4.52 FIP, 4.88 xFIP. The walks have been the real issue, 13.6% walk rate. Obviously, he doesn't generate a ton of ground balls, only 34.8%, and a .8 fWAR. Not great. Chandler was one of the favorites to win the Rookie of the Year this year, but that's probably not going to happen at this point. Walks have been a problem for him his entire minor league career. He kind of settled in 2024, 2025. The walk rate went back up. In the majors, though, it went to 3.2%, which made him a lot more promising going into 2026 because that was his main weakness, not being able to throw strikes. But in 2026, the problem is back, and it's way worse than many people expected it to be. Now, Chandler has really good stuff, obviously. That's why he was one of the top pitching prospects in the league. 98-mile-per-hour fastball, ton of vertical movement. That's going to play really well. He also has a really good changeup to go along with it. Plays really well off of the high vertical movement of the fastball. But just like Roki Sasaki, Chandler is trending in the right direction. Before May 16th, Chandler was not throwing his fastball for strikes. Only 48.4% of his fastballs were in the zone. But since May 16th, he's actually thrown 58.4% of his 4-seam fastballs in the zone, which is a 10 percentage point increase. That's pretty good. And if you look at the game log here, it doesn't matter how good your stuff is if you're not throwing strikes. You can see a lot of the walk problems came early on in the year. 6 walks, 4 walks, 2 walks, 3 walks, 4 walks, 6 walks. 4 walks on May 16th, but since that date, he's gotten a lot better results. 3 walks, 2 walks, 2 walks, 2 walks, 1 walk, and also the strikeout numbers have gone up as well. 11 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts, 6 strikeouts, 3 of the highest strikeout games of the year so far for him, and also he wasn't walking that many hitters in those games either. Why? Because he was throwing the fastball in the zone. His fastball's so good, just put it in the zone, it's gonna do well. And that pretty much sums up Bubba Chandler. The stuff is really good, he's just gotta throw strikes, throw the pitches in the zone, and he will be good. And recently, he's been doing that a lot better than at the start of the year. His overall numbers look pretty bad because of that horrendous start, those walks at the start of the year, but I think it's going to head in the right direction in the second half. I give him a 70% chance to bounce back, because just like Roki Sasaki, this could just be a little nice patch in the middle of the season, but it is certainly promising. Next up is Shota Imanaga. He has just not been able to live up to what he did in 2024 as a rookie. 86.2 innings, a 4.57 FIP, just .9 fWAR. Not great. but the strikeout to walk numbers are still there. He's going to allow a ton of fly balls. That's always been a problem with him. That's not going to change, but I think he will be better in the second half. Part of the reason why I think that is because I think he's a lot closer to his 2024 form than he is to his 2025 form. 2025, he had that 4.86 FIP, disgusting. 2024, 3.72. That's what we want to see. Right now, it's at 4.57, a lot closer to 2025, but I think if we look a little bit deeper, he's actually a lot closer to his 2024. If we go down to see how hitters are making swing decisions and how they're making contact against Imanaga, he actually has the lowest contact rate of his career, which is great. That means more swings and misses. Zone contact rate, the lowest of his career. Hitters are not able to hit pitches he throws in the strike zone, and he also has the highest chase rate of his career, 37.2%, which is one of the highest in the league. If we look at all qualified pitchers, he actually has the 6th lowest zone contact rate, meaning he's getting a ton of swing and miss inside the strike zone, and he also simultaneously has one of the highest out-of-zone swing rates as well. 37.2% of the pitches he throws outside the strike zone, hitters are swinging at. There's a win-win scenario. Throw the ball in the zone, and you get a swing and miss. Throw the ball out of the zone, and you get a swing. And whether or not the hitter makes contact doesn't really matter, because hitters swinging outside the zone usually result in poor contact or a swing and miss. Now, if we go back to 2024 and look at qualified pitchers, Shota Imanaga once again in second place, and we go to zone contact rate, he is one of the lower ones on the list, 15th. So it really looks like Shota Imanaga is back to doing what he was doing in 2024, he's just not getting the results. Part of the reason why Shota was not as good in 2025 was the fact that, one, his fastball lost around a mile per hour of velocity, which is not good when you're already throwing below average for your velocity on your fastball. In 2026, it's jumped back up to almost 92 miles per hour. That's going to play a little bit better, and the splitter is still really good. 42.6% whiff rate on the splitter so far this year, and he throws that splitter in the zone quite a bit. That's where he gets all those zone swing and miss from. Last year, that whiff rate was down at 32.3%. I think some of that had to do with the less intense fastball, because the splitter is a pitch that plays really well off the four-seam fastball. Obviously, Shota's four-seam fastball gets a ton of vertical movement, and the splitter looks like it's going to be up there and then drops down to the last second, which will lead to a lot of swing and miss. So I think the four-seam fastball being back, the velocity being back, is also helping out a splitter. Now we're seeing the chase, we're seeing the swing and miss inside the zone as well. He is going to give up home runs, that's going to be part of his game, but I think the strikeout to walk numbers will be good enough to balance it out, and I think he's in for a bounce back in the second half. I give him an 80%. Next up is Nathan Eovaldi, 0.7 F4. Not good for 87 innings of Nathan Eovaldi. Last year, he was one of the best pitchers in the league on a per inning basis. This year, not so much. A 4.66 FIP. XFIP much lower, 3.54, but I think he's probably even better than this number. Like I said, last year, Eovaldi was really good, a 1.73 ERA, a 2.8 FIP. This year, not so much, 4.66 FIP, 4.23 ERA. The home runs have been really the problem for him. He's given up 17 home runs this year in 87 innings. That was way more than he gave up last year in 130 innings. He only gave up 10. This year, already at 17. That's probably a little bit unlucky, the home run to fly ball rate, 20.5%, so we are going to see some regression there. Just like Shota Imanaga, he hits a lot of swing and miss inside the zone, 82.6% zone contact rate, that's one of the lowest among qualified starters, and he also gets a lot of chase outside the zone, so pretty similar situation to Shota here, 36% chase rate, and I think his pitch arsenal actually got better from last year. Last year, he was throwing this four-seam fastball quite a bit, 23% of the time. This year, he's only throwing it 12% of the time, which makes it his fourth most used pitch instead of his second. He's throwing this cutter a lot more, which I think is a better pitch, though these two pitchers are not getting great results so far this year. The cutter has given up 4 home runs, the fastball has given up 5 home runs, which is a lot for how much he uses them. Last year, these two pitchers gave up 5 home runs in total, in many more innings pitched, many more pitches thrown. Something must have changed with the pitches, right? Not really. The cutter and four-seamer are still pretty much the same movement. The velocity's the same, 90.5 on the cutter, 94.1 on the four-seamer. Pretty much exactly the same as last year. And it's really weird because these two pitches are kind of pitches that induce a lot of ground balls, especially the four-seamer. You can see how much drop and horizontal movement it gets, which is typically related to less home runs. You can see the ground ball rate at 50.2%. There's just no way that these pitchers are going to give up that many home runs over a large sample. I think hitters have just gotten to these pitches more home runs than usual in this half a season sample. And really, all these home runs in this sample have made Eovaldi look like a really bad pitcher, when in reality, I think he's pretty much the same as he was last year when he was one of the best pitchers in the league on a per inning basis. Still getting a ton of ground balls, the swing and miss is still there, he's getting a lot of chase. I give him a 90% chance to bounce back. And lastly, we're going with the closer, Andres Munoz. Now, this is definitely one that's kind of regression-based, but I have seen a lot of people, especially Mariners fans, complain about Andres Munoz, saying he shouldn't be the closer, or he's not that good anymore, when in reality, he's still pretty good. There have been a lot of runs scored when Munoz is on the mound so far this year, a lot of games blown when he's on the mound this year, a 5.68 ERA, that's not good, but I think Munoz is having one of the best seasons of his career, pitching-wise, although Mariners fans probably won't tell you that. Now, this is kind of a case of regression, but if we're going to get a very confident bounce back here, we're going to have to kind of dip our toes into that. The strikeout rate of 33.3% is one of the highest of his career, only behind 2022. The walk rate's lower than last year. When you're striking out more hitters and walking less than in 2025 when he was a 1.73 ERA, you would expect him to be very good, but that's not been the case. The ground ball rate's gone way down to 42.9%, so that might be a little bit of the problem there. And he's given up a lot of home runs. He's given up 4 home runs in just 25 innings. Last year, he gave up 2 home runs in 62 innings. That's why his ERA was so low at 1.73. But this is a very similar case to what we just talked about with Nathan Eovaldi. The pitch arsenal is basically exactly the same. The four-seamer still has the velocity, 98.7 miles per hour. It's actually even faster than last year. The slider still has the great movement, still the same velocity. Arm angle, the same. Everything's pretty much the same. He's just giving up home runs at the end of the day. If we look at these home runs that he did give up, this one was definitely on him. The slider was not put in a good spot there, right down the middle of Tyler Soderstrom. This one didn't lose the game, so to speak. It was only going to be 4-1, but not a good spot for the slider there. Here's another one against Matt Olson. That's a pretty decent spot for a slider to a lefty. Olson takes it the other way for a home run. Not many hitters are going to hit that for a home run. And here's another one, this one by Nick Kurtz. This is another pitch put in a pretty good spot, right on the bottom edge of the strike zone, backdoor to the lefty, and Kurtz hits it to straightaway center field, 438 feet. Not many hitters in the league are going to do that. I think that's another case of good pitch, just better hitting. And here's the other home run, his 4th home run he gave up. This one not on the slider, on the fastball, out of the zone. Not even a strike, and DeLauder hits it to left field for a home run. Once again, that's not, I don't put that on Munoz at all. In a small sample, he's given up some home runs, which have ballooned his stats as a reliever. As a reliever, just a few home runs can ruin your season-long stats. I give Munoz a 100% chance to bounce back. There's almost no doubt in my mind that he's going to be good in the second half of the season, and that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know if I missed anybody that you think is going to be better in the second half, and I'll see you in the next one.